Good morning. Both here in person and online. I'm Robert Neff. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of the UUCPA Board of Trustees. I'm currently involved with Buildings and Grounds, the choir, and board liaison to Green Action Council and Green Sanctuary. If you have a UUCPA issue that you think needs attention, please look for me on the patio after the service. Welcome, everyone. Whatever your sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnicity, or family makeup, you are most welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. May you find nourishment and inspiration on your journey. We express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. If you'd like a mask today, please raise your hand and an usher will provide one. If you're new with us, please know that during the service we use these cards to share any joys, concerns, or sorrows that are on our hearts. If you'd like to fill one out, you can always find them at the welcome table, up here in front on the altar, and now at a table over on the side over there. There's still time to write one, to light an altar candle, or as I share the few community announcements, and also during the first hymn, if you want to grab a card and enter something, that's fine. The announcements, I'll share some announcements, but many more are also listed in your order of service. Today is the second Sunday of the month. That means we have our second Sunday lunch immediately after the service on the patio. Today, it is a summer menu with food off the grill. After you pick up lunch, Reverend Peter Faraday invites anyone who's relatively new to UUCPA to attend the Getting to Know UU Newcomer Gathering. This informal get-together offers a chance to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and UUCPA. Hear from others about their spiritual journeys and why they're exploring this spiritual community. Also discussing any questions or musings with Reverend Peter. And since newcomer is a relative term, regardless of whatever connection you've had with UUCPA so far, if you feel like one, you're welcome. This is planned for about an hour, and it'll be in the shade over on the McFadden patio in the far corner of the campus. Please hold the date of July 5th for the inaugural meeting of a rekindled UUCPA writing group, where writing becomes part of a path to reflection, creativity, and emotional or physical healing. Facilitated by Bing Wei, creative writing and poetry for healing is designed to help people develop a writing practice for self-care. Through guided discussions, reflective prompts, and supportive feedback in a nurturing space, participants can explore poetry, journaling, personal essays, and follow whatever the words in your heart lead, wherever. No writing experience is required. This hybrid workshop will be held once a month on first Sundays from 11:45 to 12:30 in the church library or via Google Meet. Again, the first meeting is July 5th. More information is available on our website, or email the office and ask Administrator Jeff Cashdollar to connect you with Bing. The summer solstice will be marked here at 6 p.m. this coming Saturday, June 20th, with a solstice celebration ritual and a potluck. Children and adults are welcome. Look for more details on the website or in email announcements. And now Matt Rosen has an announcement.
I'm Matt Rosen. My pronouns are he and him. And last Sunday, UUCPA was proud to be present at Palo Alto Pride alongside other local congregations. It was a much-needed and deeply meaningful celebration, and all the more so because it was spearheaded by Palo Alto youth. Next up, this coming Saturday, June 20th, UUCPA will have a booth at Together in Pride Mountain View at City Hall Plaza in Pioneer Park. Thank you to the volunteers who are making this possible. And if you would like to be among them, please talk to me after the service during the lunch. And regardless, I hope you'll attend this joyful event. It's a lot of fun. Look out for the UUCPA banner and please say hi. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I now invite you to center yourself in your chair. Take a couple of deep breaths. Let your forehead relax, your shoulders drop, your abdomen soften. Breathe again. Let any mental chatter subside, and as mindfulness practice advises, be fully present to this moment. We gather, our different paths entwined, to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, and tending to our world. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, we allow ourselves to arrive here fully.
Bridges is a song written by Bill Staines, who also wrote All God's Critters Got a Place in the Choir. And I am so pleased to join with you today and to hear your choir as they sing. And a bridge can be anything from a hello, a handshake is a kind of bridge. There are bridges, bridges in the sky. They are shining in the sun. They are stone and steel and wood and wire. They turn two things to one. They are languages and learning, poetry and all. They are love and understanding, and they're better than a wall. They are languages and learning, poetry and all. They are love and understanding, and they're better than a wall. There are canyons, they are yawning in the night. They are rank and bitter anger, they are all devoid of light. They are fear and blind suspicion, apathy and pride. They are dark and so foreboding, and they're oh so very wide. They are fear and blind suspicion, apathy and pride. They are dark and so foreboding, and they're oh so very wide. Let us build a bridge of music. Let us cross it with a song. Let us span another canyon. Let us right another wrong. And if someone should ask us where we're off and bound today, we will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way. And if someone should ask us where we're off and bound today, we will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Reverend Peter Faraday, UUCPA's interim minister through summer of 2027. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm very glad you're here today. Each Sunday, Unitarian Universalist congregations light a chalice, the symbol of our UU faith. Those online are invited to light a chalice or candle with us. And Rita and Anastasia, I know I didn't check with you beforehand, but would Vera have any interest in coming up to light the chalice today? All right. Yay. Let's hear it for Vera. Hi. Good morning. You're ready, yeah. You're 6? When was your birth? Did you just turn 6 recently? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, can I have a high 6? One more? Yeah, okay, thank you. So we'll wait just a moment until I say some words before we light, but Our words are adapted from reading 434 in our gray hymnal. Sacred Spirit of our radically interconnected existence and our deeply intertwined lives, help us to remember here our highest aspirations. May we know that we are not isolated beings, but related in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the communion of all life, and to each other. In kindling our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, we invoke and invite into this space the divine light of wisdom, the sacred fire of justice and compassion, and dedicate ourselves anew to bringing our fullest gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Are you ready to sing too? You like to sing? All right. You can go back and we'll sing together. Our opening hymn is number 1024 in the Teal hymnal, When the Spirit Says Do. Since one section is a little unusual rhythmically, our music director, Bruce Olstad, will coach us just a bit. So number 1024, the lyrics will also be on screen. Please rise in body or in spirit, and Bruce will help us.
Can you hear me? Oh, it is on. Great. So this hymn is pretty familiar to most of us, but at the end there's a little tricky rhythmic thing, and that's when we repeat the phrase, Spirit says do, and I think if I counted correctly, it's like 6 times for each verse. So, Kathy, can you hold that for me? Because, so we're going to clap together. This is an audience participation event, so we're going to do about this tempo. And I'm going to speak it, and then we'll speak it together, okay? And the rhythm is, Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do. You're already well over-rehearsed. It's great. Let's sing.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Kat. My boils. My pronouns are she, hers. And I'd like to invite you up if you're young or young at heart to hear our story this morning. This morning, our story is called Wolf Girl. And I think it's appropriate for all of the things we are celebrating for Pride. So welcome up. I'm sorry, our coloring, our quilt has gone missing. So we are on the ground today, but we are on a reconnaissance mission for a colorful quilt. So if you see it on campus, please let us know. If you want to sit up here, you're also welcome to sit on the carpet blocks. Yeah, I know, yeah. It's because we have gnomes on campus, and so gnomes on campus often move things like chalices around. They move quilts. Yeah. So this is a story called Wolf Girl. Sophie watched the city from her window, and the cars weaved in and out in endless spirals and twists, just like her worried tummy. The city was as gloom and as gray as she felt. But inside her den, Sophie was always happiest there. She would put on her wolf suit and imagine she was fierce like a wolf, fast like a wolf, strong like a wolf, and maybe a little brave like a wolf. She loved her wolf costume so much that she wished that she could wear it to school. Good morning, Margot and Doyle. So one day, she did. And she knew that everyone would like her and want to be friends with her when they saw her special wolf suit. In the playground that day, Sophie plucked up the courage to talk to the other children. But her words got stuck in her throat, and her head and her stomach felt funny. And the other children whispered and laughed behind her back and laughed at her. It's not very nice. So after this hard day at school, Sophie goes home and she falls asleep. We're going to skip a couple pages. And she wakes up, and Sophie is no longer in her bedroom. She is not alone. She is in the woods, and she has been joined by a wolf and her pup. And that wasn't all, because all around her, there was the silent, snowy woods that she knew from her books. Sophie ran, and Sophie rolled with the pup. But then, the wolves suddenly became still, and snow was starting to fall fast and thick. And feeling the wind, Sophie and the wolves headed for the woods. Deeper and deeper they went, becoming more cold, more exhausted, until at last they found a cave. They went inside and they crouched together, trying to get warm as the snowstorm roared outside. But Sophie realized something. That roaring sound, it wasn't coming from just outside the cave, it was inside too. She looked up and they saw an absolutely enormous bear. And Sophie was terrified. But deep inside, she felt a tingle, and she knew that she needed to be fast, fierce, strong, and most importantly, brave like a wolf. And so Sophie goes, "Leave us alone, bear!" How do you think the bear took that? Yeah, the bear ran from the cave and out into the stormy night. And Sophie, she smiled. She felt brave. It felt wonderful. The wolves howled their praise, and they licked and nuzzled her face. But then there was a gust of snowy wind as it whistled through the cave, and Sophie realized that the bear was probably just as cold and as lonely outside. Maybe he had been looking for a place to shelter just like them. He didn't look so big or scary anymore, so she knew what she must do. Sophie walked outside, and in her dream, she realized that sometimes being kind was the bravest thing of all. She gave that bear a hug. And they all huddled together, and Sophie realized that she felt quite different. She had friends, and she liked that feeling very much. An owl outside hooted softly, and Sophie fell asleep. What kind of noise does an owl make? Ooh, ooh, excellence. So Sophie woke up, she opened her eyes, and she realized she was back in her den and alone once more. Had it all been a dream? she wondered sadly. But then she remembered the feeling of bravery and warmth and realized it was still inside her. So she carried that feeling with her into school. She held onto it until someone asked her to join in. And this time, her words didn't get stuck in her throat, and she replied in her own quiet way, "Yes, please." Sophie carried her brave feelings inside all day, and later on, Sophie spotted an owlish little boy, the one who no one ever noticed. They shared a smile, and Sophie knew that she had made a friend. Thank you for listening to my story today. I would like to invite all of my friends who are going to summer religious education to meet me in the lobby, and thank you.
Thank you. Like every June 14th, today is Flag Day, a holiday first recognized by the federal government in 1916. 2 world wars kept this celebration of our national symbol in the forefront of public consciousness through the 1940s and the early Cold War period. But with the later loss of American innocence, epitomized by the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, enthusiasm around Flag Day faded. Yet, of course, we can still honor the constitutional ideals the Stars and Stripes represents. Over 100 years later, those ideals were furthered via the national holiday known as Juneteenth, which occurs this coming Friday. It was created on June 17, 2021, when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. He accompanied this signing with a proclamation, which reads in part, "On June 19, 1865, nearly 9 decades after our nation's founding and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Americans in Galveston, Texas, finally received word that they were free from bondage. As those who were formerly enslaved were recognized for the first time as citizens, Black Americans came to commemorate Juneteenth with celebrations across the country, building new lives and a new tradition that we honor today. In its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is a day that should be recognized by all Americans, and that is why I am proud to have consecrated Juneteenth as our newest national holiday." Today, we join in celebrating this commemoration as part of the ongoing saga of African American bondage and emancipation. And in the same spirit of freedom, as Matt Rosen noted earlier, June is also Pride Month, when members of the LGBTQ+ community and their allies celebrate their identities and achievements and honor the past struggles for civil rights and the continuing pursuit of comprehensive equality. As we know, sadly, neither of these nor related journeys toward the all-embracing liberation symbolized by the American flag are complete. Hence, our reading by Vanessa Titang is a poetic reflection on a blessing she heard given by a Nigerian chief at a 2022 Juneteenth celebration in Maine. It's entitled, "Blessed When the World Has Fallen Apart." The world has fallen apart, though this is not the first time. It is just one of the times when it is all too much, intentionally crafted by mortal powers that be, not ordained by divinity. Weakened, but not dead, I remind myself, and yesterday I was reminded again, of ancestors who have been tasked similarly. What is next? What do I do now? When my back has been given far too much weight to bear, when the final straw is placed. I did not know what I needed until it was before me. A spirit of power and memory, backlit by the warm glow of summer sun. A masked figure, familiar to family I do not know, and my predecessors speaking in a language I do not know, but understood. The slow, careful sound of ankle bells and the motion to come forth welcomed me in. And back, back, back in time and space. Back. This has happened before, and here we are, still. A blessing given of memory, of protection, of our shared connection. I cannot know the intention, but I felt it. We all felt it. Let us not forget, never forget this moment or all that brought us here in time and space. Remembering past, present, and that we are not done. This is always just beginning. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. May we be our descendants' bravest heroes, keepers of the flame, knowing we are the ones we have been waiting for. Thus, let's go. We further honor all that was shared and anything in our hearts left unsaid by lifting these up in prayerful song. Please rise in body or in spirit and sing number 155 in the gray hymnal, Circle Round for Freedom. The lyrics are also on screen and online.
Well, it turns out I did it again in terms of the order of service. You'll have the notice that we're singing I Will Be Earth, but we sang that last week. So today we're going to be singing a beautiful arrangement of a traditional English-Scottish folk tune that you may know as The Water is Wide. And this is a beautiful arrangement by Hal Hobson of The Gift of Love.
With bravest fall.
Thank you. Beautiful. Continuing my intermittent sermon series on how ideas about the soul affect both individuals and society, I'll again start with a condensed review of what's come before, though since the series is getting longer, I can only touch on bits. So please remember that you can also access audio recordings of prior installments on the UUCPA website, if you like. So I've described how, while the modern era has given humankind immense gifts, its dominant philosophy of materialism, which holds that physical matter constitutes the whole of reality, has also purged any transcendent or transrational, that is, beyond the rational aspect from human life. And I've proposed that the resultant spiritual vacuum causes major personal and collective problems, and also, in agreement with mythologist Joseph Campbell, that archaic religious remedies, primarily meaning believe this or land in hell, Christianity and Islam, now mainly only aggravate these and related ills. Then, drawing on Plato, although there are other sources, I offered a very different transrational template from those of traditional religions. The main points are that human beings have a soul and enter the world with a life blueprint and a personal calling and destiny. Plato also describes the soul's spirit companion, termed daimon, D-A-I-M-O-N, in Greek, and genius in Latin, that guides the soul during its earthly excursion. And further, that when people identify and live out this calling as wholeheartedly as possible, it's personally beneficial and potentially culturally transformative. My latest installments then broadly described the historical emergence of materialism's modern soulless worldview, including the very understandable reasons this first became normalized, which was largely to break free of religious superstition and tyranny. I sum this up by observing that the same modern era cultural voyage that produced such enormous benefits has also wreaked unequaled devastation, including on indigenous peoples by Western colonialist and religious powers under the Catholic Church's doctrine of discovery, which sanctioned the European, at the time mainly Spanish, seizure of the Americas. A voyage contemporary French cultural critic and philosopher Paul Virilio pithily captured by remarking that when you invent the ship, you also invent the shipwreck. Then last week, I focused on why some people have such a hard time admitting that modernism has any shipwreck side at all. A ruinous parallel to the doctrine of discovery I call the doctrine of denial. I contrasted this with how postmodernism's general willingness to consider multiple perspectives tends to foster better understanding of others' realities, and thus is often a starting point for empathy, which can then seek improvements. As explained before, while there's no one definition of postmodernism, I'm using thinker and author Stephen McIntosh's characterization of a more attentive and inclusive worldview that is, quote, comprised of the victims of modernity, including individual people, races, and cultures, and the overall natural environment, together with those who are sensitive to the pain of victimization, even though they may not have been directly victimized themselves. And I shared how, from the mid-20th century until today, this cultural split has fueled a war of the world views between those striving to foster a more equitable and sustainable planetary community based on universal regard for others and the earth, and those determined, consciously or unconsciously, to retain their psychological equilibrium and or their parochial power and privilege by zealously denying modernism's lengthening shadow. But personally or collectively, in dealing with altered circumstances and new understandings, denial is not a functional, much less healthy strategy. Thus, I ended last week by saying that what renowned psychologist Carl Jung observed about individual life stories is also true of civilizational narratives and the historical eras based on them. He writes, "One cannot live in the afternoon of life according to the program of life's morning, for what was great in the morning will be of little importance in the evening, and what in the morning was true will at evening become a lie." We continue now by looking at more cultural effects of disimaginative doctrine of denial fabrications. And because, as someone once said, no one ever loves you for stripping them of their illusions, we begin with why the foremost attendant emotion of denialists is incensed indignation. The dramatic climax of a well-known fable illustrates. Many of you will recall that in the original The Wizard of Oz film, young heroine Dorothy and her Land of Oz friends, the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion, fretfully enter the wizard's inner sanctum. Amidst the fire and smoke spewing around this gigantic, ethereal visage, they inform him they've accomplished their part of the earlier bargain and now want him to fulfill his part by helping Dorothy return home to Kansas. Astonished that they've actually brought him the dead Wicked Witch of the West's broomstick, that is, realizing their claim is legitimate, the wizard says he needs more time to think about it and to come back tomorrow. Along with other denialist tactics I identified last week, for instance, categorically dismissing any and all criticism, heaping scorn and ridicule on anyone who questions their accepted order, and sanctimoniously blaming those modernism has victimized, vague intimations that things will get better tomorrow is yet another tactic. When they dare to challenge him to keep his bargain now, his earth-shaking voice tries to intimidate them. Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. But Dorothy has waited long enough and exclaims, if you were really great and powerful, you'd keep your promises. And here his mounting ire reveals his, and denialism's, underlying presumption of unassailable omnipotence. Do you presume to criticize the great Oz, you ungrateful creatures? At this moment, Dorothy's little dog Toto detects some activity to one side. He trots over and pulls back a curtain, concealing a mechanical control console, revealing a man frantically twirling knobs and pulling levers while yelling into a microphone, now most famously and futilely, "Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain." But he's been exposed for who he really is. The all-powerful browbeating persona is a protective facade. The Scarecrow bellows, "You humbug!" That is, fraud, liar. And to his everlasting credit, the shame-faced sham wizard owns up. Yes, that's exactly so. I'm a humbug. Sadly, outside of Oz, the psychosocial dynamics that underpin the doctrine of denial make such admissions rare. Instead, the usual reaction is some mix of the tactics just named, which in toto entails yanking the curtain closed while trying to kick the spit out of Toto. This is evident in 1,000 ways. Yet a few textbook example words uttered in the 1960s as postmodernism fully began to reveal modernism's deficiencies speaks volumes about the general dynamic. For after the enslavement of African Americans, followed by another 100 years of bigotry, bullying, and lynchings, and now in the midst of the sometimes deadly white supremacist attacks in 1960s civil rights leaders and supporters I spoke of previously, the doctrine of denial permitted a white man from the American South to say, our colored people will do exactly as they have done. Our white people will do exactly as they have done. Why? Because it's worked out best. For denial's defenders, this axiom has endless applications. From domineering, if not outright abusive men to women, because it's worked out best. From heterosexual homophobes to non-heterosexuals, because it's worked out best. From a relative handful of billionaires to billions of poor people, because it's worked out best. From polluting profiteers to Earth's people, other creatures, and the life-sustaining systems on which existence itself depends, because it's worked out best. Ad infinitum and nauseam. But continuing here with the example of racial prejudice, another white Southerner's words shows that people can and do transcend the provincial programming of their life's mourning. I grew up in the South, a child of good and decent parents. We had black women who worked in our household, sometimes surrogate mothers. I can't believe I couldn't see them. I don't know where my head or heart was. I don't know where my parents' heads or hearts were, or my teachers. I never heard it once from the pulpit. We were blind to the reality of racism and afraid, I guess, of change. Like many of their neighbors, those parents of esteemed journalist John Siegenthaler were good and decent within their highly restricted range of vision. But responding to a question from Bob Dylan's "Blowin' in the Wind" that many were hearing at the time, how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? Siegenthaler's blinders fell, and he found the missing pieces of his younger head and heart. Applying these in 1961 as a special assistant to U.S. Attorney General Robert Kennedy, he found himself mediating between the federal government, the racial mix of mostly young people riding buses into the Deep South to protest illegal segregation practices, and white political and law enforcement officials who often allowed and sometimes directly abetted the organized terrorism that met these freedom riders. After a white mob in Alabama tried to murder one busload of riders with a firebomb, on May 20th, he was present when a second mob met another unprotected bus at Montgomery's Greyhound Station. As it began to attack some 20 freedom riders, black and white, female and male, Siegenthaler saw a skinny youth punching a woman's face bloody and tried to get her into his car. And at that moment, he said, they wheeled me around and they hit me with a pipe. The blow behind his left ear floored him in near unconsciousness, though he does recall that they kicked me under the car and left me there. So for being among those pulling back the painstakingly spun curtain on this aspect of the doctrine of denial, another head among those who would no longer turn away was bloodied by its inherent violence. The fact that in his youth, Siegenthaler never even heard racial injustice discussed attests to how tightly woven such closed curtains and closed ranks can be. This is why all sorts of privileged, because it's worked out best groups can so readily mistake being awakened to a wider field of vision with being victimized, an error rife among denialists today, but that wise souls like Ralph Waldo Emerson judiciously strive to avoid. Let me never fall into the vulgar mistake, Emerson wrote, of dreaming that I am persecuted whenever I am contradicted. Again, all this exists on a spectrum. So using the terms broadly, this isn't to say that all modernists are more defensive and all postmodernists more altruistic regarding every ethical issue. But while allowing for overlap and variations in these designations, the overall propensity is nonetheless clear. And there's a worldview of difference between letting initial internal psychological dissonance congeal into self-serving dogma, as with the "because it's worked out best" man and his ilk, and realizing that one's limited outlook needs expanding, as John Siegenthaler did. Also, on one level, this isn't a new dynamic. In every era, there have been more and less open-minded and open-hearted people, and those who stood up and sometimes sacrificed for those unlike themselves. Instances include men who supported women's suffrage, and white abolitionists who fought slavery, and others extending back to antiquity. But as described in some detail last week, including how first-time photos of the Earth from space awoke many people to life's ultimate unity. Never before has considering the entire world been necessary. Never before could anyone validly declare, as world religion scholar Houston Smith does now, that we have come to the point in history when anyone who is only Japanese or American, only Oriental or Occidental, is only half human. The other half that beats with the pulse of all humanity has yet to be born. So too, the heart that beats with the pulse of our living starship Earth, now seen as never before. A bumper sticker I once saw puts this postmodern truth even more concisely. One people, one planet, one future. And philosopher Immanuel Kant ties an ethical outcome to this new awareness and ability now required. For peace to reign on Earth, humans must evolve into new beings who have learned to see the whole first. The postmodern worldview has indeed helped many see more of the whole and, to some extent, evolve accordingly. Yet, for all its vision and heart and perspective expanding positives, to various degrees, it has its own troubling shadow and its own disimaginative blinders, including to the reality of the human soul. Next week, I'll wrap up this section of our series for the summer with a look at these and why this worldview cannot form the transrational foundation for a profoundly evolutionary, soul-focused life. Namaste and blessed be. As part of Unitarian Universalism's free church tradition, this congregation is self-supporting, and thus we remain free to govern ourselves. In addition to their annual sustaining contributions, each week our members and friends may choose to give an additional gift as witness that we are and shall remain a free faith. You can use cash or check or the QR code or text info in the order of service. Please give generously.
June is also a month that people have traditionally joined hands in matrimony. And Tom Paxton writes this song. In an unexpected moment, I beheld you. I'd never seen your face, I did not know your name. Then you came into my life from out of nowhere, and now absolutely nothing is the same. You are in my heart and in my mind. Now I've known your love, I want no other kind. I can feel your power shining through, and I'm lost in the love of loving you. It's so strange the way we live our lives in sorrow, and the way we let the happiness slip by. For our eyes are always fixed upon tomorrow, while today is in the corner of our eyes. You are in my heart and in my mind. Now I've known your love, I want no other kind. I can feel your power shining through, and I'm lost in the love of loving you. I was looking for tomorrow when you found me, and my heart was anywhere but in today. Now the beauty of the moments all around me, and I hear the words I've always longed to say. You are in my heart and in my mind. Now I've known your love, I want no other kind. I can feel your power shining through, and I'm lost in the love of loving you. I can feel your power shining through, and I'm lost in the love of loving you.
Thank you, Jim. We are grateful for the gifts offered today and for all the gifts and blessings in our lives. And if you're visiting today, that's a gift in itself. We extend an especially warm welcome to you, and I'd be honored to meet you when we finish if you'd care to do that, as you are our special guest. Our closing song is number 133 in the Gray Hymnal, One World. Since it's new to UUCPA, to acquaint us with it, the choir will stand and sing the first verse alone. As they finish, you'll also then rise in body or in spirit, and we'll all repeat that verse, then continue with verse 2. Be seated. Thanks to everyone involved in making today's service possible, including our greeters and ushers, tech team, and special musician Jim Stevens. And because Bruce and Veronica and our choir members have graced us with wonderful choral music all year, and this is their last Sunday before their summer hiatus, let's show them our appreciation. Our chalice extinguishing words are by Elizabeth Sell Jones. Please say them together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Same benediction every week. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We have two long-term members of our choir that are moving on to do other exciting things with their lives, and we want to wish them well. We were talking at rehearsal on Thursday night about how long each has been involved in the choir, and we realized that together they have over a half century of singing in this choir. So it seems unthinkable to say goodbye, so we're going to say, may the road rise to meet you. Because you hear this every week, if you feel moved to sing with us today, feel free to do that. I'll tell you who. It's Paula Hilliard and Florence Haas. So we're dedicating the benediction to them today.
I came to California from El Paso in the summer of 1982 and had been here only a couple of weeks when I first visited what was then Palo Alto Unitarian Church. And I saw that from the program that musicians were guests. I said, oh, I would love to sing here. Well, that was almost 44 years ago. And I was singing elsewhere when some members of the church heard me. I think it was probably Bob and April Hill and Larry and Sarah Newcomb. And Sarah, if you're listening, thank you for the invitation. I came here, I was already a professional. I did everything I could to find a place to sing. I was singing at lunches at what is called the new Varsity Theater in Palo Alto. And on that particular Saturday that I was doing that, it was the Palo Alto Celebrates the Arts. And the promoter was sitting at a table just outside. So I didn't know I was doing an audition. She asked me to sing for other arts and crafts festivals, and she said, and do you know about the Pumpkin Festival? I said, no. She said, well, do you know any pumpkin songs? I said, no, but I can write some. And so those are the two things that have been constants in my professional life, singing here on occasion for these 44 years, and also singing at the Pumpkin Festival year after year. During that same period of time, music goes up and down, opportunities come and go. I found I had fewer and fewer jobs during one of the recessions, and so I took a job as a file clerk for the county of San Mateo. And so I sang that to myself. I am a file clerk for the county. Or file, though your heart is breaking. And so I wrote a song during that time period. It was July, friend, as I was passing through a small town that was off the beaten track, and at the diner I drank a soda. That's when I saw a face that took me back. So I approached him and in a small voice said, "You won't remember, but I used to hear you sing. How have you been, friend? You were my idol. Those days are clear to me as yesterday. And every night you sang a good song. You sang it so high, almost never did come down. My friends and I came round to hear you. We helped you sing your good song all night long." Well, that's where you're wrong, friend, for I remember all the small clubs and the folks who came to hear, but something happened. Those days are gone now. Maybe all that's left is you and me. And every night I sang a good song. I sang it so high, almost never did come down. And my good friends came round to hear me. They helped me sing my good song all night long. So now you found me. Do I look different? I didn't think so. Though it has been several years, I don't play much, but I make a living. It's not in music, but don't shed me any tears. 'Cause just last night, I sang a good song. I sang it so high, almost never did come down. And my two kids came round to hear me. They helped me sing my good song all night long. Yes, just last night, I sang a good song. I sang it so high, almost never did come down. And my two kids, and now my grandkids, came round to hear me. They helped me sing my good song all night long. They helped me sing my good song all night long. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And please, a round for your choir. Happy vacation.
Thank you, Jim. I hope next year is 45. Please remember that if you're relatively new to UUCPA, I hope you'll join me for the Getting to Know UU newcomer gathering shortly after the service. This informal gathering get-together offers a chance to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and UUCPA, perhaps hear from others about their spiritual journeys and why they're exploring this as a spiritual community, and discuss any questions or musings with me. It happens, as Robert said, at the rear patio, which is in that corner of the campus beyond the breezeway next to the office. And that'll just be a few minutes. It'll take, if you stay for lunch, please feel free to bring that with you. Yes, and I know what I was going to say. Yes, if you want to get lunch as a newcomer, but you don't want to join that gathering, the newcomer table is out here, and that'll just give our hospitality people a chance to say hello and answer any questions you may have. So you have choices. Now, if you're online, please turn on your video and touch hands virtually. Folks here, if you'd rather not hold hands with your neighbors, you can cross yours over your heart to show you're connected in spirit, or find a hand to hold as we rise in body or spirit and recite our benediction together. Go out into the world in peace. Be